Robin dressed as an elf or an elf
An
dressed as
elf
Robin?
dressed as Robin.
Okay,
Robin's
okay.
already
I wanted
basically
to,
dressed as an elf. Happy New Comic Book Day, geeks, and welcome to the Script Heroes podcast.
We bring you comic news, book reviews, and industry blues. My name is Joseph Jasinowski, and I'm the writer of Gender Hero, Cunning Carly, and the Cryptoverse.
And I'm Katie Markham, scripter of the Rusty Robot Country Club and ghostwriter extraordinaire.
We're going to be talking about our polls for this week, including Transformers number 3, both Beast World tie-ins, Petrol Head number 2, Hunger in the Dusk number 4, Our Bones Dust number 1, and the Hellboy Winter Special.
Beautiful, and there's going to be no back issue review this week, but be sure to check out our first episode of our new Strange Saturday Super Show, where we dig into Volume 1 of the absurd series Battle Pope, made by the creators of The Walking Dead. If you like what you hear here today, subscribe to Script Heroes wherever you get your podcasts.
And you can follow the pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Script Heroes Pod, to join the conversation. Or you can find my personal socials at JJAZ1111.
And I'm on all socials at Katie Markham Pro.
Now, let's move on to the news. So our first segment for today is going to be about a new imprint at a popular publisher. Pop-up imprints have become, I think, quite popular in recent years. Things like Young Animal and Hill House for DC, etc. But there's a new pop-up imprint coming our way. So this news was put together by Bleeding Cool, as most of our segments are. So there's a new imprint entering the fray. High Strangeness. From Oni Press, formed in collaboration with actor-producer Elijah Wood and writer-producer Daniel Noah's production company, Spectre Vision. This is supposedly supposed to be some sort of a competitor to Vertigo, with the rumors of DC bringing back Vertigo. So High Strangeness is basically going to focus on stories that surveil the borderlands of paranormal experience, influenced by real documented cases of paranormal phenomena dating back to the mid-20th century, with series that bend perception far beyond the bounds of traditional science fiction and horror.
I love this. Mr. Frodo the Ghost Hunter? Amazing. No, what a fun concept. I love like the supernatural elements of things. I love a good kind of freaky deaky book. This is going to be a ton of fun. I am very excited to see what's going to be churning out of here. Do we have any like creator names attached to it? Do we know anyone who's going to be putting books out?
Not so. There is a teaser image that was featuring Malachi Ward with a design by Tom Mueller. Other than that, there is speculation that Cullen Bunn's going to be involved because of his like horror books that he's done.
Makes sense.
So far at Oni so far, including Invasive and Lamentation. So that seems to be a name that you might speculate will be attached, but we're not. It's in the early stages right now. So
I mean, that's kind of a weird coincidence to have that come out 2 weeks after Holy Roller, where we have what is it, Andy Samberg and I think a couple other actors working on a comic, and now Elijah Wood is working on a whole imprint. It's an interesting blending.
I think a lot of it spawns out of, obviously now we're beyond it, but like when strikes are going on, Hollywood people tend to migrate toward comics. And so you have, I think, some ripple effects from there. But I'm a big fan of especially Cullen Bunn driven horror, one of my favorite creators. And Lamentation was really good. I really enjoyed that. So I am enjoying some of what Oni Press is doing, and I would be quite excited to see them do a lot more horror, weird, strange, paranormal. The idea that it's going to be influenced by real world paranormal stuff is interesting. Yeah. Question mark. I don't know how that'll go, but it could be really cool.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if you've ever watched Over the Garden Wall. It's a wonderful like 2-hour miniseries cartoon that Cartoon Network put out 10 years ago or something, maybe longer than that now. The passage of time.
Not quite as old as you, Katie, so
I'm gonna just stew in my elderly.
10 years ago, I was still like, I was like 12, and I'm like, actually, 10 years ago, it's like I would.
horrible, bullying me. Um, but that has a lot of supernatural elements to it and a lot of kind of a very moody atmosphere. And I'm wondering, because
Okay.
Elijah Wood was the main character in that, he was the voice actor for
I kind of figured that he was attached to it, and the fact that you were
it.
delving
Yes,
into it.
yes, yes,
Otherwise, it
yes,
would have
yes,
been
yes.
like, this is a really weird departure to take from the news story.
But yeah, so for sure, I think that is psyching me up quite a bit. Um, because it's just so fun. It's so good. I love new creative works going on.
Yeah, love more imprints, love more places for things to get published, and I think this is just more and more. Oni Press seems to be trying to move into the American market, and I'm
Yeah,
here for it. Okay, you want to move on to our next
let's
segment?
scoot on over.
Okay, for our next article, we have a surprising connection revealed between Batman and Santa Claus in the new Batman Santa Claus Silent Night book. Um, so spoilers ahead for this issue that came out on Wednesday if you don't want to hear it. But coming out of Batman 140 and Batman Santa Claus Silent Night #1, it has been revealed that Batman trained with Santa Claus. So there is I want to read the actual because I think there's a lot of fun, like the panel here. So the Santa Claus arrives on the scene, and basically Batman says, "Chris, been a long time." Santa Claus responds with, "That it has. I followed your exploits." Robin is very confused, and Batman says, "We met during my years abroad. He showed me a few things I still use." So Batman has now canonically trained with Santa Claus during his time abroad training.
I mean, we already know that Santa Claus is a superpower in the DC universe. We read Mark Waid's
Yeah.
JLA Christmas special, and Santa Claus had like the most badass heat vision.
I'm just looking at the art for this book. Like, I didn't pick it up. Maybe I should have, or maybe I'll read on DCY next month. But like, Santa Claus always looks badass in the DC
Right?
universe, which is really fun.
Look, I love that for him. He deserves the glow up. Um, but yeah, that is, you know what? I support that wholeheartedly. I think that if Batman truly is a master of all styles of combat, of all styles of investigation, it makes sense that he would train under a man who can travel across the entire globe in a single night. Uh,
I am surprised to have you be so gung ho for this, which is gung ho ho ho.
oh!
Uh, I feel like I saw a few people who were really, really pissed about this, which is like not a kind of thing that pisses me off, but I do think it's a weird thing. It's just like, oh,
Okay,
yeah, train with
here's
Santa
the
Claus.
thing.
Let's be like,
If if this is happening in like I don't know, if like it's a Batman versus Joker fight and Batman whips out like a little mallet and an elf dressed as Robin ran up to his side, then I'd be like, okay, what the fuck?
Robin dressed as an elf or an elf
An
dressed as
elf dressed
Robin?
as Robin.
Okay,
Robin's
okay.
already
I wanted
basically
to, I
dressed as
wanted
an
the
elf.
distinction. Not modern Robin,
Eh,
unfortunately.
I mean, no, but
He's
my
got that
mental
black suit
image of
now.
Robin will
Oh,
never change.
yeah, yeah.
It's all pixie boots and thongs, baby.
Man, this took a turn.
In any case,
Content warning.
I'm sorry, Mom. I know you're listening. In any case, yeah, I think that putting goofy stuff like that in a Christmas book is just what you should expect from a Christmas book, you know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything with Santa Claus is so
Oh,
goofy
yeah.
in the DC universe, man. Like, doesn't he canonically deliver Cold to Darkseid every year? I
I
think
believe so.
I'm pretty sure that's canon in the DC
Which means
universe.
that not
So,
only is Santa a master of terrestrial travel, he makes interplanetary stops as well. Of course, Batman trained with him.
I just love that he's this like he's powerful enough for all that, but he's still like all the extent of what I'm doing is the good people get presents and the bad people get coal, and I'm not taking any steps beyond that. That's my domain.
Look, he knows his lane and he sticks in it. And we can respect the
Which is
man.
respectable. You know what? No, beyond respectable. It's commendable. Man
Commendable.
does not leave his lane. Man does not, he knows what he's got to do and he does it.
He knows what's
That
good for the world.
he knows who's been good and bad. So, gonna get what you deserve. even if it's coal
Dark side.
and your dark side.
What a
So
hoot and holler.
yeah, I've been very serious with the news this week, as you can tell.
Well, you know what? This
Merry
is
Christmas,
the kind of
everybody. This is coming
holiday
out. I think we're gonna
cheer.
have actually one more episode before Christmas, right? There's one more
Yes,
episode after this
correct.
before Christmas, but Merry Christmas. Maybe we'll read the Christmas special next week for like a Christmas thing.
Maybe,
I don't
maybe.
know.
We'll
Making shit up.
see.
Yeah.
Anyway, we want to scoot on over to our polls for the week, extra large section.
Extra large polls coming up in 3, 2 now.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Pull List Rec, the section of the podcast where we go through all of the polls that we had from the week. And oh my lord, do we have polls this week?
That is true. I believe we have 7 this
Seven
week. Quite a few.
indeed. Hellboy, the winter special, Yule Cat, Transformers, number 3, Hunger in the Dusk, number 4, Our Bones Dust, number 1, Petrol Head, number 2, and our 2 Beast World tie-ins, so the World Tour Metropolis and Waller Rising. But even with all of those, that's not all that we picked up this week. Jay, what did you grab that we won't be discussing today?
I also got Side Quest 3 coming from Scout, The Midnight Show 3 coming from Dark Horse, and I picked up Daredevil number 4, obviously, from Marvel, and I do just love the cover of Daredevil number 4. Very dynamic and
It is
awesome.
pretty
What did you get, Katie?
So I didn't have any fresh pulls for the week, but the internet made me do it. I have been brought on to the just train of hype for Tom King's Wonder Woman. So I grabbed number 3. I'll be reading 1 and 2 on the DCUI app. Should use it sometimes. And the other pull that I grabbed is also just from great word of mouth, is Somna from Distillery Publications.
Very cool. Do you want to get into the polls for the week? With this many, I know you said I don't think you wanted to do our traditional discussing what order.
Yeah, I think we just switch off choosing, and because I'm so very nice, you can choose first.
Let's start with Waller
Waller
Rising.
Rising.
With Beast World, Waller Rising. Yes.
All right.
Beast World, Waller Rising. A formidable new adversary, Dr. Hate, emerges with intentions to corrupt the mystical and metaphysical realm of the kingdom, as well as the Parliament of Red in the pursuit of chaos. Batwing, Vixen, Valzad, Superman, and Black Manta are thrust together in a desperate fight for survival. In their struggle against Dr. Hate, these heroes and villains also face the task of unraveling how Amanda Waller's rise is entwined with the ongoing crisis. The saga features guest appearances from Nubia, Dr. Mist, Red Tornado, Deadeye, and more. The writer is Chuck Brown, the writer of Black Manta miniseries and the book Bitterroot. The artist is Karen Grant, who's done a lot of Big 2 cover work and did a Spider-Man Doc Ock miniseries. And the letters are Wes Abbott. So, Katie, how'd you feel about Waller Rising?
I thought it was dense. Like, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It has a lot of words in it, which
a lot of bubbles, a lot of captions,
yeah.
a lot of dialogue.
I think that a lot of the dialogue was done well, but there was also a lot of just explaining happening.
Yes, absolutely, a lot of exposition through dialogue. It dense is a good word. I also really feel like it didn't do enough with that density, you know? Like, I don't know. The ending was kind of interesting. Again, the spoiler-free reviews in the poll list section, so I won't really get into it, but I think that it sets up things well, but I don't know if we needed this whole journey to get there. It's nice to see a lot of these characters. It's nice to see Black Manta getting a spotlight. It's nice to see Valzad back. Like, there's a lot of fun stuff. Vixen, it's great to see Vixen. Vixen was pretty cool in this.
Agreed.
But it was quite dense. The art isn't for me. I found it very difficult to tell what was going on at points, especially in action sequences. It's very like vibrant and interesting, and it's nice to look at, but I did have a lot of difficulty following pages at some points. But yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it.
No, that's fair.
There's some good stuff in it. But
one of literally the last line of my notes is a bit long, a bit confusing, but beautiful. And I think that
That sums it
Yeah.
up pretty well, I think.
The art, I am actually a huge fan of. You were mentioning that this person does a lot of like cover art, and I think that shows in like individual panel compositions. Like a lot of these panels are super rad, but there are some moments that are a little more difficult to follow as you move from having these like cool panels to having like effective sequential art, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Um,
I agree.
but I was really just enjoying looking at so many of these pages. Uh,
And that's where I think it's just not for me, because I felt like I just became frustrated like looking at it. Like it felt like a lot. It was a lot, both in the like I feel like I could have taken
mhm.
one or the other, but I felt like the writing style and the art style didn't necessarily suit each other because both were very loud and all encompassing. It's like, okay, either you want simplistic art with a lot of captions, or you want this like beautiful grandiose art with less
Yeah,
words. So I don't think they meshed well. So not an indictment on either of the creators, but just I don't think the
no, I
styles
think that's
perfectly matched.
a really good way of putting it, and sort of what made it feel so dense. Like you look at like what the script of this would look like, and it's like, all right, wordy, but you can deal with it. Again, there's a lot of like good dialogue moments in there as well. Uh, and if you look at the art of the book, it's like, oh, gorgeous. But when the words are demanding attention and the art is demanding attention, that's when there's a bit of kind of friction that comes up there.
I agree. I don't have really much else to say here, so I'm ready to get into my rating on this book.
As a
I don't know
minor
if you...
glimpse into the future of what's to come with but I think I'll be picking for our next topic. I am glad that it took place after Beast World #1 and like right in there.
Yeah,
So way to go, book. But yeah,
way to go,
I
book.
am gonna give this a. I think I'm gonna give this a 5.5 out of 10. I really liked the art and I really liked the dialogue, but I don't know that they hit that harmony very well.
Yep. I give this a 3.5 out of 10. It's just it's not an enjoyable time for me to read because the styles don't mesh. So yeah, not for
That's
me.
fair. Um, yeah, do you want to move on to our other Beast World book, World Tour Metropolis?
I
Let's do
do.
it. All right, so Titans Beast World Tour Metropolis with Livewire is our beautiful title here. The battle with Starro reverberates across Metropolis. As the ramifications of the Titans' battle with Starro reverberate across the globe, Metropolis is hit with an unexpected surge of electricity from, is that, no, it can't be Livewire, but she's, okay, you're gonna have to read this one to believe it. Meanwhile, Supergirl and Dreamer take on the terror of the Flamebird. Power Girl is no longer. And amid the chaos, the threat continues to grow on the horizon. All signs point to a major new shift in the world of Superman in Beast World Tour Metropolis. This is coming to us from a duo of writers, because there were a few, I think there were 3 short stories within here.
There were
Yeah.
3 stories, yeah.
Steve Orlando, pretty prevalent in the space, Batman, Martian Manhunter, Midnighter, and Nicole Maines, who actually played Dreamer in the Supergirl TV show, which
Mentioned them on a
that's
little
right. I think
while
that's
ago.
actually in our issue 0 pod. So check that out if you want to hear a little bit more about Dreamer. The artist is Fico Asio. He's done No One Left to Fight. The letterer is Rob Lee, and the colorist is Louise Guerrero. Jaybird, how did you feel about this Beast World tie-in?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and be fairly because we got 3
Yeah.
stories to tackle in this kind of, so I'm gonna try and be fairly brief. We'll probably give the Dreamer story the most attention because that was, I think, the main thing here. I do think that was the
Mhm.
strongest of the 3.
Agreed.
It was a good time. I really Dreamer's powers are really
Right?
cool and they're very like cinematic for comics. So good on that. I'm not a big fan of the way that John looks in this
Same.
book.
I was going to comment on that.
Little off. So yeah, the art had good and bad points for me, and I will say my biggest issue is an editorial issue. These stories all take place at random times within the event that don't
Mhm.
really line up with where we are, which sucks. Like 2 of the stories, the first and third story, also they don't even align within each other. But the first and the third story take place after issue 2, which is not out yet. and then the other story takes place after issue 3 of Beast World, which isn't out yet.
And clearly
So, like, even
has
if
a
you
bit
were
of a
to say-
spoiler with one of the characters in their
Yeah.
kind of beast form. And it's like, come on, why are you putting this out now? Put it out after issue 2
Yeah,
at
at least
least.
after issue 2. Yeah. I don't like that at all. Bad on editorial. No, nothing against the creators.
Yeah.
Not their fault at all. But editorial should not let that happen. Then briefly to talk about story 2 and 3. Story 2, really, really fun time. I think it goes on
Same.
too long for just being a fun time story. Too many pages for what it is. I really was enjoying it, and then it just kept going. And I was like, this needs to be shorter
Like, I
for
was
that.
thinking that one,
Story
I
3,
think it could literally have been like a 1-page story. And it would
yeah,
have...
I would have even been down for like a 2 to 4
For
page
sure,
story.
but
Anywhere in that realm would have been
it
a lot
was
of fun.
so
Yeah, it could have been 1 page story.
bloated that it literally could have been 1 page.
Yeah. And then story 3, decent setup, fun, very generic. I didn't really like.
Yeah.
It felt very cookie cutter to me.
I liked the art for it.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I should have said
I think
that.
that was really rad. I'm sorry I missed this in my credits. The art for this one specifically was Edwin Gallman. I really liked
Very,
this.
very strong. Absolutely. Again, bad on me for not saying that.
You're good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I think
that's the issue with when there's 3 stories to cover.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, the Livewire story was the most like character-driven one that I think that we got, which
had some really good moments.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think that it had a really good kind of internal and external conflict, which is a neat thing to get done in 15 pages, if that.
Yeah, something like that.
So I liked that one quite a bit. The middle story was fine. It was too long and a little too silly for the things that it was flanked by, in my opinion.
That's true. That's true.
And the third one I liked. I actually liked the third one quite a bit. The only problem I had with it was that there's a really poorly done fake out, kind of.
Yes.
And I didn't like that very much, but I do like what it teased. So it came back around a little bit for me there.
I think I said that. I think I thought it was good. I said I thought it was good setup.
Do you want to hop into your ratings for this one?
I do. Again, we got just short stories, so not going to go too in depth on my stuff again. You got my thoughts. Overall, looking at it as a whole, it was a good time, fun time, good work. Doesn't go beyond that for me. It's a 6 out of 10 for me.
Cool. I rated this one a little lower than the other one initially, but I think I am going to pull it back up because I initially had this at a 5.5 because the middle story like really bothered me.
Well, that's what you gave the other one.
The other one I gave 5.5.
Yeah, that's what you just said.
This one I initially had at a 5.
Oh, you said 5.5.
Scrambled. It's because I am, in light of this conversation, remembering how much I liked the other two. I'm going to kick it up to a 5.5. And this one I actually would call a pull list rec.
I think if you want a Beast World tie-in, this is the one. This is not a book that I'm just going to say in general is a pull list rec, so I'm not going to quite go there. But if you want a Beast World tie-in, you want to keep following the Beast World event, get this over Waller Rising would be my
hot take would be that you can get it without caring about Beast World. And in fact, if you care about Beast World, maybe wait until after issue 2 or 3 to pick this up.
True. That's true.
All right, we want to move on to our next book?
Yeah, I'm going to probably say you want to do Hellboy
Let's
next?
Do Hellboy.
I'm down to do Hellboy.
All right.
Hellboy, Winter Special, The Yule Cat. Hellboy travels to Reykjavik, where children are disappearing and a giant beast has been spotted. Could it be the infamous Yule Cat of Icelandic lore? Fan favorite Hellboy artist Matt Smith writes and draws this chilly, wintry one-shot as it was just covered. Matt Smith does everything here. Obviously, Hellboy created by Mike Mignola, but he is not working on the interior story. Matt Smith has done a bunch of other Hellboy stories, such as Hellboy in Love, and he's also done the series Folklords for Boom Studios. We've also got colors by Chris O'Halloran and letters by Clem Robbins, who's a phenomenal letterer, by the way. So, yeah, Katie, how'd you feel about the first Hellboy story we've ever read where Mike Mignola was not directly involved?
I liked it quite a bit. I want to just first stop the art. I loved the art so much. I think that Matt Smith does such a good job of making Hellboy like very shape-y, like where it looks like he's almost built out of pieces, which I think is just great look for him and something that Mignola obviously does as well. Um, and I think that
Yeah,
that translated well to the action as well, which I think was pretty well done.
yeah. Yeah, I really think Matt Smith does one of, if not maybe the best job of
Hmm.
emulating Mike Mignola's work. Like he's not just straight up doing exactly Mike Mignola. You know, Matt
Yeah.
Smith's a very talented person with their own vibe, but I think does a very good job keeping that same vibe and
Hmm.
style for Hellboy that a Mike Mignola story would have. Also does a very good job. I don't know. I don't know if Matt Smith's ever written Hellboy before this. I know he's done art with Mike Mignola writing Hellboy. I think this is his first foray into writing. Anybody can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but he does a really good job matching the personality and
Hmm.
the dialogue of Hellboy. That's another thing that I thought was very. This is seamless. Like you can read a Mike Mignola Hellboy book and then read this and go, yeah,
Yeah.
that tracks. That's good. Very enjoyable. You mentioned the great action. I really did like this. This felt right at home with
Hmm.
Hellboy one shots. It had some depth to it. The Yule Cat was a very interesting kind of foe, to go up against. Um, yeah, I just enjoyed this a lot. I don't know what else I've
Yeah,
got.
to gush about the writing for one more moment, the like
Yeah, go for it.
the cadence and the style of the way that the birds speak was so good. Like it doesn't rhyme or
That's a good
anything,
shout.
but it almost feels like Shakespearean, which I love so much.
Yeah, it's got like that rhythm to it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Um
yeah,
yeah, I think that was super, super, super well done. I loved the little reveal at the end about the hawk. I thought that was super cool too. The only
yeah,
gripe that I have with this book is that when Hellboy goes to fight the Yule Cat, it like summons goons of some sort, and like I feel like that interaction was just a bit of an odd length. Like I definitely could have done with that being shorter or longer, but I didn't love
yeah.
the amount that it had, if that makes sense.
My one gripe, and I think that's very fair. My one gripe is going to be I feel like it's a little heavy on like trying to pull in and direct you to other Hellboy things. Like there's a lot of those little notes that are like, well, this came from there
Mhm,
and this came from there, and like I don't mind that. It still tracks really well, but it's a little bit just like it's a one shot. Let it be a
mhm.
one shot. Like we don't need all of this, but still very
Yeah,
strong.
yeah,
Not gonna not too much for that.
yeah. But yeah, I like this a lot. I'm ready to jump into ratings if you are.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
I'm gonna give this a
You
solid
want to start us
7
off?
out of 10. Again, I really liked the art. I think that the writing was super well done and like very atmospheric. I do think that that one fight scene does kind of clog it up a bit in the middle of the story, which is not where you want clogging to happen. I mean, obviously, you don't want clogging anywhere. But yeah, I would call this a pull list wreck for
Not in your
me.
toilet. Um, I'm also going to call it. I'll jump the gun a little bit and say I'm also going to call it a pull list rack. So an official pull list rack for the Hellboy Winter Special. I'm going to jump over you a little bit and I'm going to call it a 7.5 out of
Ooh,
10 because it's a very good time and I really did enjoy it. Pick up the Hellboy Winter Special. It's a good
yeah.
book. Good Hellboy.
All right, so smooth transition here. We have another Mike Mignola cover because we both got the cover B variants for Our Bones Dust. Number one, a feral child, equal parts predator and prey, navigates a nightmare landscape of brutality and blood inhabited by scattered cannibal tribes. An interesting place to poke around for a curious artificial intelligence. The writer artist on this book is Ben Stembeck. He's done a lot of work with Mignola. He did Baltimore, Frankenstein Underground, a bunch of stuff with Mignola himself. The letterer is Tuss Wooten, and the colorist is Dave Stewart.
Yeah.
I
A
would
lot of
die
writer
for
artists this week.
Addis, the artificial
A lot of writer
intelligence.
artists. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Very fun character. But there's a lot of writer artists this week, which I think is really cool, and this is another good example. I don't think we've had one this week where I'm like, oh, this person shouldn't be a writer artist. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
nice to
they're
see a
all
lot of
going
very
great.
talented, multi-talented people. I really enjoyed. I thought this was a great
Mhm,
concept and a very interesting world. There were a lot of questions I had throughout the book, some of which were addressed. The aesthetics really, really
mhm,
strong. There's a good establishment of like the rules of this like apocalyptic world and like what they use and their bartering and their deals for each other. Um, Addis is a little bit
Don't you disparage
separate
my
in this
boy.
book. I don't think, like, I think that they're very separate
Yeah,
in this issue, which is
yeah.
fine for a first issue. The story hasn't really come
Mhm.
together yet. The action's really cool in this book. There's a lot of really good stuff here. Very strange dialogue, but meant to
Right.
be because of like the way that they speak in this world. So I like that attention to detail. Um, yeah, my thing was just that it felt like for a lot of it we kind of had two different things
Mhm.
going on, and they didn't quite circle back together. So
Yeah, that was one of my big gripes as well. Again, love the atmosphere. I love the energy of the book. It feels like there's just a lot of like you're moving a lot, which I think is great. It's very like familiar in its apocalyptic setting, which I think is great for jumping into it and kind of having
yes,
visual understanding of what's going on. But I do. I'm gonna sound like Jay here. I do think that it suffers from a bit of like issue one itis, like you were saying,
yeah.
where to maintain the excitement of the book, we do lose a bit of context for the world, and that story doesn't quite wrap back around on itself as much as I would have liked.
Though I will say, like, as much as it suffers from that to the, I give it credit for not doing the first issue thing and being like, I need to explain everything, I
Yes.
need to do
Yeah.
that. Like, it does let us sit with the world and the characters. So good on it for and good on, you know, Ben Stenback for
Mhm.
not falling into that trap of a first issue create your own series. Um, I'm trying in my head not to disparage the book too much for like what I want versus what it is, because I very much am interested in this world. I'm kind of like, I don't necessarily want the AI. I kind of just want this world. But that's not the story. Gotta let that go and drop it. It's still a very interesting story in a very interesting
What's
world.
giving
And
me the giggles
I'm
here.
definitely gonna get issue two.
Yeah, yeah, same. What's giving me the giggles is that you're like, I don't really care about the AI, I just care about the world. And I'm like, the world, sure, cool. Give me more Addis. I love this funky little
I liked it a
fella
lot on the
and
first
their
page
weird
and
little
like or the
fingers.
first 2 pages, however long we were there with them at the very beginning. And then as soon as we jumped out of the rest of the world, I'm like, no, this is really cool. Like, it's very different aesthetic than Mad Max, but
Mhm.
it kind of feels like
Oh
Mad Max
yeah.
and like the forming of like tribes
Mhm.
and a new society and stuff. And I'm like, I like that. You know, I love post-apocalyptic stories, and I don't think we get enough takes on like different
Mhm.
versions of post-apocalyptic, and I really like that this is doing that.
Same.
So
I'm
that is
very
it's very up my
yeah, I'm
alley.
very excited for those two elements to come together with the AI and the
Yes.
apocalypse. Um, but yeah, you ready to hop into rating?
I am. I am. I gave this a 7 out of 10. Again, a little bit of first issue itis. It's very hard for first issues to push, beyond, that, but it's a very strong first issue. It is a series I'm going to pick up, and it is going to be a pull list rec for me. I think this is a series that's worth checking out.
We are complete twins. I also gave it a 7 out of 10.
Oh,
I have the exact same hopes and dreams for this. And I
yes.
am also calling it a pull list rec. Look at that. Pick
Great.
up our bones
Nice.
dust, Ben Stenbeck.
Yep, it's an official Script Heroes pull list rec. And without further ado, you want to move to another writer artist and get to Daniel Warren Johnson's Transformers number
Let's
3.
do it.
Transformers number 3, Skybound's latest installment of their new Energon universe. Outnumbered and overpowered, it's time for the Autobots to stand their ground as Optimus Prime goes toe-to-toe with Skywarp. Daniel Warren Johnson does the story and the art here. If you don't know who Daniel Warren Johnson is, you should really check out some of his work. He did Wonder Woman Dead Earth, phenomenal. Did Do a Powerbomb and Murder Falcon, really cool stuff. The colorist is Mike Spicer, and the letters are Russ Wooten, who is another incredible letterer. Good letterers
Mhm.
this week, which I love. Man, Katie, do you want to give your opinions on this book? We're both very new to Transformers. I had been reading this series. I think you binged the first
I
3
did. I
issues.
did.
So
I was hesitant after reading issue 1.
same,
I
same.
was hype after reading issue 2. And I've landed on, it's
Yeah.
alright after reading issue 3. Yeah,
Really
yeah. I
interesting. Interesting.
my big hang up on this is that I don't know that the story of it is really getting me. Like,
Interesting.
I think that the characters are okay. I I really like the tender moments with Optimus Prime.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring that
Mhm.
up. I thought like Spike and Optimus Prime have some amazing moments. It's like the Optimus Prime, like this world's so fragile. I think
Yeah,
that's an
that's an
issue
issue too,
too,
which is the issue that I was
but
hype about.
yeah,
And I also
yeah.
really like
But
the
that's like
comedy
such
moments
good
with
stuff.
Cliffjumper. Um,
I love Cliff Jumper. Cliff Jumper's become my man after this.
I
And
wish
poor Cliff
that
Jumper. He gets
they
the short end of the stick so
yeah.
often.
I have no idea. Uh yeah, I wish that there were more moments like that, and that because the
I
story
thought,
of the book
yeah.
is essentially that the Decepticons are trying to harvest energon from the Earth
Yeah.
after they crashed here, I believe. Um, and the Autobots are obviously
Crashed here a
trying
long
to
time ago. They were
keep them.
activated by character from Void Rivals, which is a little annoying if you didn't read Void Rivals, but not super
No, I did
necessary.
not
But
feel like I had
Void Rivals
missed
also great.
anything, having just read Transformers. Yeah, I just wish that there
Yeah.
was a little more meat on the bone plot wise. Like, I think the action is really, really good. I do love the like violent aspects of it, like the Decepticons squishing and tearing apart human beings. Horrifying.
Daniel Warren Johnson just goes
Yeah,
for it.
like I would not have expected to be like, ooh, in a Transformers book, you know? Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
because my
Yeah.
association with it is obviously like Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
But kids have grown up now, so
yeah,
property can grow
yeah.
up too.
So yeah, I like it, but I do wish that it was a little more when it comes to the kind of like personal plot.
I'm gonna push back really, really, really hard on that. I thought the first issue had a little bit of an issue. Like I thought the first issue was not super new reader friendly. Was my feeling. I was like, I feel like you need to know a lot of the Transformer lore here. Like they're throwing a lot of names and stuff at you. It's a little bit, but I felt like they slowly started to build you there. They brought that heart to Optimus Prime with Spike. They kind of gave you the conflict with his father and that. And then like there's a lot more kind of there's a big kind of shocking moment that happens toward the end of issue 3, which immediately jumped up
Mhm.
in my mind the rating. Issue 3 is my favorite issue actually. I think it's steadily gotten better. The 2-page spreads in issue 3 are
Amazing.
gorgeous. I really think the story is dope because I think the humans have like that more deep story, and then you have like the traditional good versus evil of the robots. And like I think there's a line from one of the humans at one point where it's like, it doesn't like people always have like one side always thinks they're like justified or whatever, but that doesn't matter when they start
Yeah.
fighting and everybody around them. That like there is, I think, a lot of good depth to this. I really enjoyed it. Issue 3 is well, I'm not going to jump there. I don't know if you is there anything else you want to say before we get to ratings?
I just to avoid I don't know, intimidating people away from it. I've seen a single Transformers movie, and I don't think that issue 1 was that lore dense. Like I think it was actually pretty approachable. There's some shades of things where I'm like, I don't know what that is, or I'm like, I recognize that from the movie. But I don't think that it's
Yeah.
at all intimidating to new readers. I think it's a really good jumping in point.
I think I think it just takes you time to feel like you become familiar with the
That's
world.
fair.
But 3 issues are really fast
Yes.
time
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get
yeah, yeah.
there. So good on Daniel Warren
Yes,
Johnson.
but I'm ready to jump
But
into
yeah,
ratings
so
if you are.
yep. So I'll let you go first because let's end on a positive because I feel like mine's going to be more positive most
Here's the thing.
likely.
I understand why you'd say that based on what I was just saying. I still gave this a 7 out of 10. I think this is
Okay.
really, really good. I do wish that I don't know, I connected more outside of the like really hard hitting emotional moments. But yeah, I think this is really good. I think the entire series is definitely worth picking up. That being said, I don't know that issue 3 is a great pull list. Even though issue 1,
I'm going
I
to
would say you
disagree.
should grab.
I'm going to
Go
disagree
wide.
with that. I thought issue 3 was a great jumping on point. I thought issue 3 worked really well as a stand. Daniel Wynn, I also think this is a good job of doing standalone
Mhm.
issues within a series that's very sequential. I thought this was a great standalone story. I am going to say this might be one of the best single issues I've ever read of a comic book. I thought that this was really, really fucking damn good. Like I think that in almost every aspect, issue 3 delivers. There's big emotional moments. There's like amazing action sequences. I gave this a 9.5 out of
Which is
10. I
essentially a
love
Joseph
this.
Jasonowski 10 out of 10.
You never know. You never know. Something might be better, so you can't
So
give it
then I can
perfect.
only assume that you're
But
calling this a
very
Polish
good.
drag.
And I do just love Daniel Warren Johnson. Yeah, this is a pull list rack. I love Daniel Warren Johnson's work so much, and it coming out in tandem with Void Rivals by Robert Kirkman, who I also love. Like, it's just, the Energon universe has been awesome for somebody who had no attachment to Transformers before it. So jump on. It's great.
Fantastic. Um, well, speaking of
It's you.
giant robots, let's move on to Petrol Head. All right, Petrol Head number 2. Petrol Head and Lupa gun it for the smog zone border with half of the ozone security drones and robocops on their trail. Can one old racing robot outdrive the best new tech the city can build? And will Lupa's father survive the experience? We gushed about issue 1 in our very first episode 0 of the pod. Writer Rob Williams, artist Piper does the coloring, the art, the lettering, all that goodness.
Whole shebang.
Whole shebang. I am so excited to talk about this issue. Jay, go wild.
I really enjoyed this quite a bit. It opens with like connecting essentially like the look of Petrol Head to Lupa's mom in this really cool way. Really well done. Really liked it. I liked that they didn't just like dynamically shift Petrol Head's character to immediately be like, yes, I'm riding with these humans now. They're one of, like, no, he's standoffish. He has like an actual like attainable character. You know what he's on. All of the dialogue and character dynamics are really well done. There's an interesting wrinkle in like the O and the villain's motivations and like what they're going for in this. I'm not going to spoil that because you should read the issue and figure it out for yourself because it's worth doing it. The O's a very, very well written villain, and it's just a strong issue in general. Like it's good. It's a good comic book. Petrol Head's a good comic book. I'm not going to bury the lead until ratings. Petrol Head is a good comic book. Read it.
Oh my gosh. I will say, I think that it slowed down a little, ironically.
Yes, I agree. I was going to get
a good amount of the book is a high-speed chase, which is just chef's kiss.
It's also just shorter,
amazingly
like, less pages
done.
to work with.
All of the car movement, so great. But the issue as a whole is a little slower than issue 1, which again does make sense because it's smaller. But I do think that it slowed down a bit for me, which is a bummer because issue 1 was just so just aces across the board. But yeah, the cars, the cyborgs, the robots, all drawn and written beautifully. I know that in the first issue, I brought up a small gripe with the way that Parr does humans, but I didn't really feel that in this installment. I'm not sure if it's because there was more human happening, so it was kind of more congruous with itself.
I felt like Lupa's face actually was rendered a little differently in this issue to the improvement of it, but I did also make note of that. I thought Lupa's face was rendered a little bit differently.
But yeah, I love this book so much. I think that it's got such a cool world, such a cool atmosphere.
Oh, it's a fantastic world.
Love that the designation for Petrol Head's car, 1 is named the Chief after his friend from issue 1.
Chief,
And 2, that even the O refers to it as a hot rod. I don't know, that's just so fun. It just gives such a good energy to the book. It's clearly such a labor of love from Rob Williams and Piper. It's clearly so fun to work on, and you get that fun as the reader as well.
Yeah, and Piper's layouts, I just want to say, are phenomenal. Like, he can do a splash, he can do inlaid, he can do a 4-panel page, there's a like 12-panel grid with the bottom made into one, so it's like a 10-panel page, and it's done incredibly well. Like, the layouts are really, really strong, and for a book that has to do car chases in a comic book, which is notoriously hard to do, it is very important to be as good as Piper is at doing layouts.
Now, Jay, there was something that I as soon as I read it, I was like, I need to know what Jay thinks about this.
Yeah.
Satnav Sid. The Cockney GPS, essentially.
Yes.
I cannot for the life of me predict whether you think he's the most annoying thing in the world or if you think he's incredibly funny.
Neither, honestly. I didn't have super strong feelings about him. I thought he was a little goofy, but he wasn't like featured enough for it to detract from the book from me. I feel like when we already have, is it Gary, the bird robot? Dave. When we already have Dave, I don't think he's necessary in the book. Like the scene with Dave, I'm not going to go too into it, but the scene with Dave and Lupa,
Yeah.
that's phenomenal, so freaking good. So I think it's a little redundant in like that like little companion role, but it's just such a well written book that it didn't. There was no ability for it to
Mhm.
detract from the book in any great way
For
for
sure.
me.
I kind of
Yeah.
thought you were going to hate him. 'Cause I'm like, I feel like characters that you just kind of want to kick aren't normally Jay's wheelhouse. But I am pleasantly surprised that he did not detract at all for you. I thought he was fun. I think that it's fun to see that different voice come through. Because Rob Williams is really good at writing the different voices of his characters. Um,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, I could gush about this book all day, but instead I think we should get into our
Yes.
ratings.
Yes. We should get
Yes.
to ratings. Yes, we
Yeah.
should. We should not go too crazy on
I
this.
gave this book an 8 out of 10. I do think that it slowed a bit.
Ditto.
Hey! I do think it slowed a bit from issue 1,
Yep.
but
Yep.
still a fantastic read.
Yep. Which I gave an
There you
8.5 out of
go.
10, if I'm not mistaken. So I went just
Yeah,
that
just a
little,
little
little,
a little
little
step
notch
down.
down, but still top tier
Yes.
book.
I honestly, I think this works fine as a kind of
I
jumping on
agree.
point, but it's been
I
selling
agree.
out because it's so beloved. So might as well pick up issue 1 while you wait for your LCS to get a copy of issue
Yeah, I
2.
think a lot of stores still have issue 1. I went to several different stores trying to get a physical
Mhm.
copy before I ended up on digital. I'll pick up a physical copy in the future, but all of those stores still had issue 1s, but they didn't have issue 2. So go and pick up the issue 1s and order an
Yes.
issue 2 and get into the series. This is a pull list rec from us. We love Petrol Head at Script Heroes
Yes.
Pod.
All right, going from Petrol Head to one of my other favorite pulls that we've been grabbing and reading together, The Hunger in the Dusk. The human-orc alliance is tested for the first time as an underwhelming harvest causes the orcs to look towards the fertile farmland of humankind. Will Troth be able to persuade his brethren to stand strong against their new allies? Or will the truce break before it really begins? Whether these warring nations are able to work out their problems or not, one thing remains. The Van Gogh are more organized than anyone could have imagined, and they're on their way. This series comes to us from writer G. Willow Wilson, Poison Ivy, Miss Marvel, doing great work. Artist
Yep,
Christian Wildgoose,
absolutely.
Batgirl, Gotham Academy, Newbury and Hobbs, letterer Simon Boland, and colorist Diana Souza. I like this book so
Very
much.
talented team.
It's a very
I
talented
really
team.
do enjoy
Very
this
talented
book.
team.
Um,
I think this might be my favorite issue of it since issue 1.
Ooh, maybe it's hard to remember because again like stuff that just sucks on the release side. Been too long
Yeah,
since the last issue, which always hurts.
it does.
But understandable from people who make like it's
Yeah.
hard to get a book out on time, man. But yeah, I like the growing dynamics between the
Mhm.
characters in this issue. I think that was one of the things that I really got there. The Overlord Gartok, Foran's father, being introduced was a really interesting dynamic.
Mhm.
Kind of seeing like even like amongst the orcs, they have like these sub tribe. Like
Yeah.
I like that extra lore. The world building in the series has always been great. I'm gonna throw out the little criticism that actually we haven't talked about this on the pod yet, so I haven't thrown out this little criticism for it. I feel like this book just doesn't say characters' names enough. Like it's one of those things where like you go an entire issue without a character's name being said, like a major like one of the main
Mhm.
characters, and I'm just like, I have such a hard time remembering the characters' names despite my love for them because I just wish the characters' names was said a little bit more in the dialogue so that I can remember them.
That is fair. It
But
is it is a little
yeah,
rough, and that compounded with the delayed release certainly doesn't help.
yeah,
But yeah, I love the through line of this specific issue, with the kind of like orc tribes meeting, or I'm sorry, the orc dynasties, I believe they call themselves. Uh,
which I like. That's a
yeah,
cool turn of
and
phrase.
this
Fun time.
was, I think, the first time that I wasn't like mad's too strong a word, but I wasn't mad about it focusing on Troth and his wife Farron instead of
I
the
think
last
that's
men
been a disagreement
standing.
we've had on this a lot because
It
I've
has
liked them
been.
going to them quite a bit.
I love the
Continue to
last
enjoy
men
it in this,
standing.
but
Uh,
I do too.
and even
But
though I wasn't
uh,
mad about it not focusing on them as much, they were still my favorite part of the issue. It's got such good political intrigue. There's like a bit of an ominous tease at the end that I'm super excited.
yep, and we will not talk about
No,
that in
no,
depth
no, no,
because
no,
you
no.
should read the book to pick that
Yes.
to figure that out.
But yeah, it is rough coming back to the book after I think 2 months of waiting, because there
Yeah.
is a part of it that is kind of one of the stories happening is I had to go back and like remember what that character was doing.
Yeah, I wanted to fully reread, but just we have a lot going on for the pod this weekend, so didn't quite
Yeah.
have the time for that. Definitely going to do a full reread of the series probably this coming week, which
Mhm.
I think will be make it a lot stronger to read straight through. But I did have to flip through a couple other
Yeah.
things to like tie things back together in my brain.
Yes. Yeah, I love the art on this book so much. I feel like the
Oh
colors
yes,
are so beautifully rendered. And
yes.
that's on top of like the just incredible character designs and
The character designs and like the I guess like the different like race looks or like the
mhm.
different even like amongst like the
Yeah,
dynasties or like the differing versions were so well done. The art is such a strong point of this
it
series,
really,
like
really
just
is.
beautiful.
But yeah, I like this so much. Are you ready to jump into ratings?
I am. I'll start us off. I give this a 7 out of 10. I thought this was a really good time. Maybe the weight is influencing me a little bit, that I'm just a little off a track there. It's a really good book. It's a really great
Mhm.
series. I don't think this is a good jumping on point.
No.
So I would not recommend you to pick up issue 4, but I would recommend you to go back and pick up issue 1
Yes.
and give the series a shot. Or I'm assuming a trade will probably be coming out some
Mhm.
point soon because we're
I would
getting to
think.
that point in the series. So when that happens, maybe do that. Maybe I'm plugging something that doesn't exist.
But
But
that's all right. That's all right. At the
go
very least,
and
grab
start at
issue
the beginning
1.
is the
Yeah.
point. Yeah. The point is start at the beginning for
Yeah.
this series. I think this is a series that really needs you to start at the beginning.
Mhm. Yeah, I went a little higher with it. Again, I really, really like this specific issue on top of loving
Yeah.
the series. I gave this an 8 out of 10. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
It's very good. Don't get
it's
me
very
wrong. I
good.
had my shit before.
Yeah, not to just reiterate, go pick it up.
Yeah.
Issue 1,
Good
that
comic
is.
book.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's going to take us to the end of our pull list rec. And instead of going to our back issue review this week, we are going right
We don't have
to
one.
our creator corner for a silly little game. And here we are in the creator corner, where we sit back, lounge a bit, talk about what it's like to be writers, what it's like to work in the comic industry, talk about clients, talk about uh, writing itself, all that good stuff. Today we're gonna do Creative Corner a little differently. I have something silly up my sleeve. Uh,
Oh
I guess
God.
it's just
I
the
am
theme of today's
heavily
episode
worried
with the
now.
news and the Creative Corner and
I am
travel.
so concerned now.
Well, you should be because we are launching into Katie's amazing Spectropular. I have put together an amassment of tropes in comic books, pretty heavily superhero comic books. And instead of just talking about these tropes, I have set up a game for us called Subvert, Embrace, Eliminate. Uh, Jay, are you familiar with the game Fuck, Marry, Kill?
Yes. I am. I think I know how this is gonna work. So we have subvert the trope, embrace the trope, or what was the last
Eliminate the
one?
trope.
Eliminate the trope. So okay. I'm here for this. And odds are, I feel like I'm gonna be saying subvert on a lot of things you'd want me
Well,
to
the
eliminate
important
because I
thing
really
is
like
I have
it.
grouped them into pods of 3. Uh, so
Yes, I kind of figured. And then
you won't be
That's
subvert
how the game works.
anything.
I'm here for it. No, but I feel like I'm gonna choose subvert on a lot of things you'd rather me eliminate.
That
So
is
this will
fair.
be fun. I like subverting shitty tropes, so
And
it's what
I
I do.
support you in that endeavor. But let's jump right into round 1. Coming in hot, subvert.
Okay,
Oh,
I can I ask one
sure.
question? Are you also like? Are we both
I
giving our
figure we
things?
both give our things, and then
Okay,
we can
cool.
see where the conversation goes from
Cool.
there.
I just wanted to make sure that we knew how we were
That's
doing this.
fair. A
Okay, let's do it.
rules guy.
I am a rules guy, yeah.
All right. So round 1: heroes fighting heroes stories, universe
You know
changing
that's my favorite
events,
trope.
and
Oh,
death being temporary in comics.
ooh. Okay. Man, I hate because you have two things that I like
I
here.
know.
I'm subverting death being temporary. That's a subvert.
Oh,
I feel like that's the
what do you think
easiest
would be the
subvert.
way to subvert it? Just killing someone and leaving them dead?
No, I mean technically, but I think it's more of like, man, am I gonna reference Gotham Knights here as like
Wait, show her the
all
game.
things?
Okay,
The game
amazing. Gold star.
of all things. But I'm like, we're like you bring them back just to immediately murder them
That was
again,
pretty
you know?
freaking good.
Yeah, something like that, where it's like you think, or even like, man, I don't know why I'm not referencing comics, but I don't know if it's been subverted that much in comics because people just tend to come back. Maybe you can say like a Red Hood or a Winter Soldier is kind of a way to subvert
Mhm.
the usual characters coming back because you do it a little bit differently. But I'm gonna reference also, Arrow did a similar thing. We're like, oh man, we're gonna throw this guy in the Lazarus pit like we've done with every other character, but no, this time can't do it, and the character stays dead. So something like that. But yeah, so we're gonna subvert that. um, what was the first
Hero
one
fighting
again?
hero stories.
Yeah, I gotta embrace hero fighting hero. I love hero fighting hero stories. I know people have gotten sick of it, and I will never. I love the like who is more powerful, who would win type thing, and I love seeing it in comic books. Not getting rid of that. We'll never get rid of that. We'll never want that changed. Keep doing it. We'll get rid of the universe change, especially if that's like rebooting and
Mhm.
shit like that. Like, nah, okay, let's get rid of that universe. Let's eliminate the universe change.
All right. I mean, I
Anyways,
think that's pretty fair. I think I'm gonna fully eliminate the death is temporary trope. You know, be more
very
precious with
fair.
your characters, kill them and keep them dead. I think that is, words to live by. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
I think I'm gonna subvert universe changing events. Uh, because
Okay. What does that look
I
like? What does that look like?
I feel like instead of having these events that change the entire universe, you look at something like Flashpoint, where we look at what that universe could look like, and then don't do that. Even though Flashpoint obviously created a
I
million
was gonna
things,
say, and then
but
we yeah,
with the conceit of like the Flashpoint Earth dying, I feel like that's
yeah.
nice. Like, we see what this other Earth could be, and then we put it away. Uh,
Okay. That's
yeah,
fair.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
fair. I'm here for that.
And then I am also embracing hero fighting hero stories. Uh,
There is nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with the hero fighting
Here's the
hero
thing. I think
story.
it's
That is
tired
good
in
shit.
terms of like the. So moving on to our next round,
Yes.
we have kind of power origins. We have lab accidents causing powers. We have genetic
So
powers, so
Flash,
like alien or otherwise. And then we have
mutants.
our beloved non-powered heroes.
Ooh. Uh okay, I'm gonna say subvert non-powered heroes just because that's what I tried to do in the first comic book I ever wrote, even though it was really shit. But we're gonna say that because I think that's fun. Um I'm gonna I feel like I should kill lab accidents because it's very
I mean,
overused.
all of Spider-Man's villains.
But I'm going to kill like always having
Ooh,
powers, mutants, aliens, etc.
rip Superman.
Because I don't know. I think it works really well in something like well, Superman, but I think it works really well in like when you're doing like the mutant universe, like oh, here's this like,
Mhm.
but I feel like that fucks around so much like with something in the Marvel universe where you're like, well, the mutants are all hated because of like this, and that, but then all these other superheroes are fine because they get their powers in different ways.
Spider-Man's
So I think it,
decided
it can be
refusal to be a mutant.
yeah. So I feel like there's it can be problematic for the way that it plays with other things in like a shared
Mhm.
universe. So I'm gonna kill that, and I'll embrace lab accidents. You know what, man? Flash, we got Hulk, we got a lot of good things out of lab accidents. If you want to consider Spider-Man kind of a lab accident,
Yeah.
like I, lab accidents have been good to us. So I'm gonna,
Joseph Jasonowski
I'll let
says
that live.
death to mutants. Get him?
No, I quite like. I feel like I tweeted out a couple days ago how like in defense of the Fox X-Men movies. So like and I didn't like the Death of X storyline. I thought that was a bad comic book. So
Well, I am going to fully embrace genetic powers. I love the trope of like puberty hitting and your powers kicking in. Uh,
that's
it's
good
so good.
actually. Invincible. I wasn't really
Oh,
thinking of
I was more
that.
thinking
I
about
wasn't thinking of
John
like the
Kent because that
belated
works too.
powers. I was thinking of people who, like grew up with the
Mhm.
powers. I wasn't thinking about like them kicking in later. You got
Yeah,
me.
yeah. So I'm gonna fully embrace that. I think
Mhm.
I'm going to subvert non powered heroes as well. I feel like you need a little something to justify them, kind of like what you were saying when you.
Would you consider Daredevil a subversion of
Okay, okay.
non-powers because he has
Here's the thing.
powers? What about the Teenage Mutant Ninja
Ooh,
Turtles? Do you consider them a subversion of non-powers? Because I
I do
do.
too. Like, if your superpower does not assist in your crime fighting,
Exactly. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles best subversion of non-powers.
beautiful.
You heard it here,
You,
folks.
you, you heard it here first. And I'm gonna get rid of lab accidents. I think they're a
Okay,
little
that's fair.
contrived.
I think that's the right answer. I think that's the right answer, but I didn't want to do it.
That's all right. They're fun. They're fun. Are you ready for the hardest of these rounds?
I am. I'm very excited.
Embrace, eliminate, subvert. Capes, domino masks,
Domino
and alliterative
masks.
names.
Alliterative names. I'm embracing alliterative names.
He says
Proven
as
strategy
Joseph
for
Jason
name
Askey.
recognition. Proven strategy for name recognition. It works. There's a reason for it. We're gonna keep that. Would subverting that just be like the Stan Lee thing of forgetting their name and just keeping the alliteration but changing the name from issue
for
to issue?
sure.
I don't know how you subvert one of the like a costume thing. I guess I'll just say subverting capes because I think there's been funny things of like superheroes going out with a cape for their first like time out and then being like, nope, never again. Cape
Dude,
bad. Cape got in my face.
I love when
whatever.
Dick becomes Batman and he's like, this cape is so heavy, dude. I can't do anything. And so they get him a lighter cape because he can't Batman with Bruce's cape.
Oh man,
So you're embracing the domino mask.
Yes, I am, because you know what, man, there's nothing wrong with a little domino mask. It works. It works. I think people get a little too hung up because they're constantly seeing both people and like, how do people not recognize this person? It's like, the assumption isn't usually when you see somebody who looks like somebody else that they're the same person, you know?
Especially when
so
it's like
I cut a lot of slack
person.
to that.
It's like, oh, you look kind of like Superman.
Yeah, I cut a lot of slack towards that. Especially Superman. I feel like the idea of like everybody thinks Superman. Why would you think Superman has like another idea? I would just be like, oh, Superman's probably always Superman. Like, why would he be somebody else? Anyway, getting off track. But that's my order.
I'm gonna agree with your order there. But I'm going to embrace domino masks first. I love a domino mask. It's my favorite thing. Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Throw that onto every.
I wonder if your favorite character is Domino Mask.
I don't know, man. I don't pick favorites. All my children
No.
me. I don't particularly care for Tim.
Which one of us was going to be the first to shit on Tim on this podcast? It would have been a very interesting question. Katie won that.
There we go. We look, he's fine. He's not allowed to grow, so how am I supposed to like him?
He's fine with the voice crack is the perfect explanation of Tim Drake as a character.
No, so many people love Tim, and I understand. I mean, I don't understand, but
I don't understand.
All right, anyway. So looking at stakes with this next round, alien invasions, bus full of innocents.
I like alien invasions.
Friendly neighborhood hero acts. So like, saving cats from trees.
We're talking like street level heroes, essentially. Oh, like saving cats from trees. Like we're talking
like the little things.
Oh, we're killing that. We're burying saving a cat from a tree. Horrible, dumb, stupid fucking thing. Like it is the dumbest thing to be like, look, this person's good. They saved somebody from a tree. They're good, especially when it's Superman. It's like somebody's dying somewhere. Go fucking do that, Superman. No, I think it's dumb. I think that this idea of like they're only a good person, they're only like truly relatable and fun and good if they save a cat from a tree to prove it, instead of like rescuing people from a burning building. Like that's not on the same level somehow. People's like morality mind is like getting a cat from a tree. So no, not a big fan of that. There's maybe I'll say maybe I should have said something because like it depends what you. I'm thinking cat from a tree in my mind. Like the talking like somebody down from suicide is one I enjoy.
I'm talking like that. Low stakes. Basically saving the world, saving lives, helping people.
Yeah, so if we're talking like no life, no, don't like it, dislike it a lot. So then we have. I'm sorry, I got so stuck on that one.
You're good. Alien invasions and bus full of innocents.
We're gonna subvert bus full of innocents. I'm trying to think of how you subvert bus full of innocents. That's not a subversion. Maybe it is. Maybe the subversion's like where you catch the bus, but like some of the innocents like come through the window or something and they die. I don't know. That could be a fun like first hero act. Is like you don't quite know how to do it yet, so like you catch the bus, but people still like fall in the bus or something, and so they like.
I don't remember if you saw it.
No, I
There's
didn't.
a great scene. I think it was
He
in the
cuts a bus
trailer.
in
Yeah,
half,
where
right?
he like accidentally cuts a bus in half, and it's like, oh,
Yeah, he's like the third superhero movie
I
to
thought
do
it was
that.
really well done for that.
It's like the
But
third superhero
I
movie to
would
cut
say
a bus in
it
half.
directly relates to your kind of like his
Yeah.
first foray
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
And he
Yeah.
fucks up this naming the bus
I
full
do
of
need to
people.
watch it though, because I do love Sholo and Blue
It was so
Beetle.
fun.
So do need to watch that movie. Anyway, so yeah, we'll subvert that. I think like kind of if that's a fun first one. If they kind of fail a little bit, I think that's fun. And the first one,
Alien
I remembered
Invasions.
liking it. Alien Invasion. I love Alien Invasions. Embrace Alien Invasions all the way. Alien Invasions are fun. Alien Invasions are interesting. Alien Invasions are awesome. Yes. Pro
I
Alien
was so
Invasion.
thrilled to put this round together because I knew we were going to be the exact opposite.
Are you gonna kill Alien
I'm gonna kill
Invasions? I
Alien
hate you so
Invasions.
much.
God, here's the thing. When there's like a scale of destruction and life lost and stuff, suddenly I feel like the stakes are kind of gone for me. Like, oh, they blew up New York is so much less effective for me as a reader than, oh, this bus is dangling off the edge of a bridge and you can see the people going, help me, Superman. Uh, so I'm gonna kill Alien Invasion. It has its place. This is my personal killing. Um, Bus Full of Innocence.
This is the one that has offended me the most out of everything you've done in this segment so far.
That I expected it to. Let's put it towards the bottom. Bus Full of Innocence, I'm gonna fully embrace. There's a phenomenal, I think it's during the Cataclysm storyline, a phenomenal issue of Nightwing where he's like going through, and I think pretty much the entire issue is him systematically removing people from a bus that's about to fall, and it's so good. It's
You see, that
so
only works for me when it's Flash. I like Flash, like grabbing everybody, or somebody with super speed
That's
grabbing
fair.
everybody
But
out
the
of
thing
a.
is, with the Nightwing issue, it was so tense because it like had these stages of danger. It was so good. I love the bus.
I feel like I'm the opposite of you on that. When it's something like a bus like that, like they're only I have no stakes there because I'm like, does it really impact us as a reader if anybody here dies?
I mean, I'd say that that's exploded to the extreme when it's an entire city falling off the edge of a cliff. But
Yeah, but then it's more likely that somebody lives in that city that's a named character that I actually will care about. So.
you got me there. And then I am going to subvert the friendly neighborhood hero acts. I love like little acts of heroism in the community. I think the literal saving a cat from a tree, possibly overdone. They did it really well with Doom Patrol TV show though with Flex Mentallo. Like
Was that in season
I
one?
believe, yeah, it's in season one. There's a kid who has a
I don't
cat in a tree
remember
and
it.
he
It's
like
been a while since I
flexes
watched
to
season one.
pop the cat down too. It's super cute.
Mm.
But yeah,
Yeah, I
I
don't
think that
remember
it
it. It's
does
been a
need
while.
to have a little more meat on the bones. Like make us care about this person who is having this very low stakes conflict. So focusing on that, the person who needs the help
I like
instead
On
of
the Way.
focusing on the hero, I think is a good way to kind of get a different perspective on our hero.
I feel like if they don't, here's what I'll say: if they don't like stick around to pose and like celebrate it, I think it's better. Like if the Flash runs by and the cat's just suddenly in the person's arms
Right?
on the
That's such a good
ground
moment.
or something like that. Like I prefer that because then I'm like they're not wasting time on it. They're not. But like when they go like, here's your thing. Oh, thank you, Superman. You're so nice. Aren't I such a good guy?
I also love that you chose the Flash there because I feel like Barry notoriously hangs out and chats with people, but I know you're more of a Wally guy.
Yeah,
Uh,
I am more of a Wally guy.
Speed of Legacy here.
Wally is superior on every fucking
I
level.
love Barry.
I have a friend. I love this quote from him. Anything interesting about Barry was Wally's first because before Wally
my boy.
became Flash and Barry was resurrected and given like several of Wally's personality traits, Barry had like no personality.
I mean, slander, but fine. All right, our next round. This is a little bit of a silly round. I've said that about a few of them, but it's a silly game. All right, D-list villains.
It is a silly game.
We both love D-list villains.
So Kite Man?
Yeah, hell yeah. Personality matching powers. So the angry person has fire. The like ADHD one has teleportation, that type of thing. And C, my personal favorite, monster modesty. When someone is like, the Hulk or something, and he keeps his jorts
He
on.
doesn't have his
He
pants.
keeps no, the fact that he always keeps his
Oh.
pants. Or in my favorite
Gotcha,
case,
gotcha,
when there's like
gotcha.
a tactical tuft of fur. Like,
That's targeted. That was targeted. That was targeted. And I do not accept that. That was rude. Elton, I will defend your honor right now.
I love the tactical tuft of
No one
fur.
wants to see junk hanging in the comic book, man.
I love the tactical
I'm
fur.
so sorry, Elton. You do a very
You
good job
do,
with
and
your
you do a
tactical
very
tuft.
good tactical tuft. I didn't say that I didn't like it.
Wow. That's crazy.
All right.
Well, now I have to embrace monster modesty because nobody wants to just see it unless it's like Watchmen and we're seeing like the blue dong very important to the plot. Like we don't need to see a monster's dong, you
Or
know?
what was it,
Don't
Batman
want
Damned
that.
that had Batman's Wang out? Because Bruce
Yeah,
Wang.
yeah, it's Bruce Wayne. But like, yeah, we don't need to. My thing's more of like I don't mind like, but we don't need like every time like X hero, if like their hero form, you know, and they don't wear clothes or whatever, and their hero form is like this monstrous being. I don't want every time they're fighting crime them just to be hanging their genitals out. Like I feel like that's a
I mean,
nice bit
the
for all
Hulk
of
could
us.
just not have a dick.
We're not Ken dolling or Barbie
Why
dolling
not?
everybody. Like we are not. We no. We're embracing that. That's a good bit. I'm sorry. I always do that. I get like so out of my first one that I forget the
All
other two.
right,
Just
D-list
quickly.
villains and personality matching powers.
Ooh, I'm gonna subvert personality matching powers. I like opposites. I like personality clashing with
We saw that
powers.
a
I
little
think
bit
that's a
in
fun
Human
one.
Target with Ice, where she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, everyone thinks that I'm this like nice snow themed villain." Uh,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
hero.
I don't mind powers. Yeah. I don't mind powers matching either. Um, which is why I'm not killing it, but I think it's a fun one to subvert. And that means that I'm killing D-list villains, which is unfortunate. But you know what? Heroes kill them sometimes, so we're just
I'm gonna
matching it.
cry.
Yeah, I hate that. I'm
Could you?
sorry. I'm sorry, Kite Man. Hell yeah, they're very fun, but I think in the overall scheme of comics, they don't add as much as these other
That's
things.
fair. That's
So
fair.
that's
I'm gonna
where I'm
disagree
at.
with
I
you.
enjoy all of these.
I am going to also fully embrace monster modesty. I do genuinely
We don't need
love
to
the
see that.
tactical tuft. Uh and I
We don't
don't
need to see
think the Hulk should be a
that.
Ken doll. Uh um I am going to subvert the D-list villains. Um I think that
Is that like D-list villain becoming a supervillain?
maybe, or like if we take them seriously. Like I feel like we have had a couple of chats where it's like there are two ways to deal with a D-list villain, where it's like there's the kind of comical energy of, oh, you guys are silly, let them crack jokes about you. Or there's like the kind of brutal dealing with them, which, could end up killing them, but I don't think
Like the
it
Rorschach. I think Rorschach threw him down an elevator shaft. Oh damn!
will. Yeah, but like the difference between Nightwing in, fighting Kite Man versus like Batwoman fighting Calendar Man or Kite Man, just I think that treating them brutally is
I
a
like
good
that. I'm a
subversion.
fan of
I
that.
don't want to just get rid of
I like
personality
seeing a D-list
matching
villain just get
powers.
the comeuppance.
I think there's a way to do it where it like feels
You heard it here first,
coincidentally.
folks. Katie hates the Hulk. Um,
Is that his personality?
yeah, gets angry, becomes a monster. You know, has what's it? DID, dissociative identity disorder. Powers match that. I think
Fair
that's a
enough. Fair enough. Uh, I guess I was trying to think of how being
Human Torch.
giant
Katie
and
hates the Human
green
Torch.
is a personality.
Yeah. No. Katie hates the Human Torch. We'll go with that. There we go.
Um, but yeah, I think that it could be like a coincidental thing, but especially when it's like kind of a
Yeah,
side character, it's like, oh no, we want to understand this character's powers. So yeah,
that's
I
super
really,
fair.
really hate that. So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna pluck it out of the zeitgeist.
No, that's super fair. Side character where it's just like their entire personality and power is summed up by this one thing: angry slash hot, cold slash. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
super fair. I didn't really look at it. That's super fair. I'm with
All
you on
right.
that. Yeah,
But yeah, as always, Please join in the conversation if any of these subvert, embrace, eliminates spoke to you, sound off, or if you have some of your own that you've come up with. Perhaps we will revisit this beautiful little game in a future episode.
All right, I think that's going to be it for
All
today.
right, would you subvert, embrace, or eliminate this episode?
Ooh, I think I'm going to subvert it with the Strange Saturday Super Show, which is up now.
Battle Pope, it's Christ delicious.
Kirkman's definitely in prime form now with Void Rivals, but where did he get his start?
With Battle Pope. Oh my god. Next week, our polls are going to be World's Finest, Teen Titans, The Thrilling Conclusion, Daredevil, Gang War, finally, a Marvel poll, and Titans Beast World number 2.
And in our back issue review, we'll be diving into what might be the most fondly remembered Image 90s book, Savage Dragon.
And an announcement that anthology Jay wrote a story for, it's actually coming out this Sunday, after a slight delay.
Yeah, unfortunately got pushed back a week, but the anthology, which is called Space, Cows, and Alien Meatballs, is releasing digitally this Sunday on smallguydoodle.com/meatballsanthology. My story is called All's Fair in Space War, and there will be a link in the description of the pod to that anthology.
Well, I will certainly be checking out. But I think that's all that we've got today.
Indeed. We'll see you next week.
And here we are in the Creator Corner. I'm joined by my co-host, Donald Duck.